Imagine your brain as a garden. Intimacy, like sunlight and water, nourishes this garden, helping emotion and thoughts flourish. But what happens when that sunlight disappears? What happens when the garden is left in the dark, dry, untouched? Your brain begins to wither, just like that garden. Neurons that once bloomed with connection start losing their strength. And slowly, the colors of your emotional world begin to fade. Think about it. We live in an age where we're more connected than ever. Texts, likes, DMs. But deep down, so many of us feel empty, craving real intimacy. Not just physical touch, but someone who sees us, someone who understands us, someone who makes us feel alive. Without it, our brain reacts in ways you'd never expect. It's not just loneliness. It's stress. It's confusion. It's that heavy weight you can't explain. And here's the kicker. Your brain doesn't just want intimacy. It needs it. Just like oxygen. Just like food. In this video, we're diving deep into what really happens when intimacy goes missing. Why your brain struggles, how it impacts your emotions, your body, even your relationships. So, stick with me, because once you understand this, you'll never look at intimacy the same way again. When most people hear the word intimacy, they instantly think of romance, relationships, physical closeness. But here's the truth. Intimacy goes way beyond that. At its core, intimacy is about connection. And connection comes in many forms. Emotional intimacy, that feeling when someone truly gets you, when you can share your fears, your joys without being judged. Physical intimacy, not just sex, but simple things. A hug, holding hands, resting your head on someone's shoulder. Intellectual intimacy, those late-night talks where ideas flow and you feel alive, just sharing thoughts with another mind. Spiritual intimacy, that bond that goes deeper than words, when two people feel connected by something greater than themselves. This is what fuels the human brain. This is what makes us feel safe, alive, whole. Without it, the brain begins to starve. Not in the way it starves without food, but in a quieter, more dangerous way. Think about the last time you felt truly seen. Maybe it was a conversation where you opened up, and the other person didn't look away, didn't scroll, didn't judge. That rush you felt, that warmth, that's your brain soaking in intimacy like water to dry soil. And when you don't get that, the opposite happens. Stress hormones rise. Loneliness sharpens. Even physical pain feels heavier. Here's what most people don't realize. Intimacy isn't a luxury. It's not a nice to have when life is calm. It's a basic human need, just as important as sleep, as food, as oxygen. Because your brain is wired for connection. From the moment you're born to the moment you take your last breath, intimacy is the thread that holds your mental and emotional health together. So, when intimacy is missing, your brain knows, your body knows, and over time, the effects can be devastating. So let's dig into the science for a moment. Because intimacy isn't just some fluffy emotional idea. It's literally wired into your brain. Every time you hug someone you care about, every time you share a deep conversation, every time you feel safe in someone's presence, your brain responds with chemistry. First up, oxytocin. They call it the love hormone, but honestly, it's more than that. It's the chemical that tells your brain you're safe, you belong. It lowers stress, slows down your heart rate, and gives you that warm, trusting feeling. Then there's dopamine. That's your brain's reward signal. It lights up when you bond, when you laugh with someone, when you feel accepted. It's the same circuit that motivates you to chase goals, to move forward. Without connection, dopamine drops, and suddenly, even life itself feels dull, unmotivating. And don't forget serotonin. That's the stabilizer. It regulates mood, helps you feel calm, balanced, steady. When intimacy is missing, serotonin dips, and anxiety, irritability, even depression start to creep in. Together, these chemicals create what neuroscientists call the reward circuits. They're like little pathways in your brain that get lit up when you experience closeness, love, or even just human touch. Now here's where it gets fascinating. Simple things like a hug, a gentle touch, or even sitting next to someone you trust literally calm your nervous system. Your body shifts out of fight or flight and into rest and repair. Your blood pressure drops. Your breathing slows. Your brain whispers, "You're safe. Stay here." And when that's missing, when days, weeks, or even years go by without intimacy, your nervous system never fully relaxes. It stays on guard, as danger could strike at any moment. That's why loneliness isn't just sad, it's stressful. It's why lack of touch, lack of connection, can leave you feeling restless, anxious, even physically unwell. Think about that for a second. Your brain was designed to thrive on closeness. It rewards you with peace when you have it, and it punishes you with stress when you don't. So when people say, "I don't really need intimacy," that's like saying, "I don't really need water." You might survive for a while, but your brain, your body, your very sense of being starts to dry out. And this brings us to the next layer. What actually happens when intimacy is missing for too long? The costs are deeper than most people realize. So now, let's flip the coin. We talked about what happens when you have intimacy. But what about when you don't? What happens when you go days, weeks, maybe even years, without real closeness? Here's the raw truth. Your brain starts to think it's under attack. Without intimacy, stress hormones, especially cortisol, skyrocket. And cortisol isn't just a little stress. It's the chemical that keeps your body on high alert. Your heart beats faster. Your sleep gets shallow. Your mind starts racing. Now imagine that, not just for a moment, but as your daily reality. That constant stress slowly eats away at your brain. Science shows that prolonged loneliness actually shrinks your hippocampus. That's the part of your brain responsible for memory and emotional regulation. That's why, when people feel chronically isolated, they don't just feel lonely. They struggle to think clearly. Brain fog sets in. Memories slip. Emotions become harder to manage. Then here's the heavier part. Without intimacy, your risk of depression and anxiety skyrockets. Not because you're weak, but because your brain chemistry is literally starving. Without oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine to balance you, cortisol takes over, and your brain gets stuck in survival mode. This is why loneliness hurts so deeply. It's not just in your head, it's in your body, your nervous system, your very biology. Your brain starts sending signals like, something's wrong, find connection, find safety. But when that call goes unanswered, the brain begins to shut down pieces of itself, just to cope. Depression, anxiety, fatigue, loss of motivation. All of these aren't just emotional symptoms. They're biological consequences of missing intimacy. Think of it like this. If intimacy is the sunlight that makes your inner garden bloom, then loneliness is the drought that cracks the soil, withers the leaves, and slowly drains the life out of it. But here's the good news. Just as the brain can wither without intimacy, it can also heal with it. And that's exactly what we'll uncover in the next section, how rebuilding intimacy can literally rewire your brain back to peace, joy, and balance. So far, we've seen the science of what happens in the brain when intimacy is missing. But let's talk about what it feels like, day to day. Because lack of intimacy doesn't always show up in lab results. It shows up in the way you wake up, the way you carry yourself through the day, the way you silently fight battles no one else sees. Have you ever felt invisible? Like you could disappear and no one would notice? That's what lack of intimacy does. It convinces your heart that you're unseen, unimportant, maybe even unlovable. And here's the catch. When people don't get intimacy, they don't just sit quietly with the emptiness. They start to overcompensate. Some throw themselves into work, staying late at the office, chasing promotions, hoping achievement will fill the void of connection. Others scroll endlessly through social media, posting selfies, chasing likes, hoping digital approval will replace real affection. Some drown in distractions, movies, games, even substances, anything to numb that aching question echoing inside. Why don't I feel loved? But no matter how much you achieve, post, or distract yourself, the emptiness remains. Because at the core, intimacy isn't about attention. It's about being truly seen, truly known, and truly valued. When that's missing, self-worth begins to erode. Your identity feels shaky, like a house built on sand. You start asking, am I enough? Do I matter? What's wrong with me? And that's the cruel irony. It's not that something's wrong with you. It's that your brain and heart are starving for the very thing they were designed for: connection. Without intimacy, we start to doubt our worth. And when self-worth slips, every part of life, relationships, career, even health, gets harder to hold together. This is why intimacy isn't just nice to have. It's not luxury, it's survival. But here's the empowering part. Once you understand the emotional traps of missing intimacy, you can start to break free from them. You can rebuild self-worth not on external approval, but on inner strength, and eventually on real connection. And that's what we'll explore next. How healing through connection can restore balance, not just to your brain, but to your soul. So far, we've looked at the emotional toll of missing intimacy. But here's something people often overlook. It doesn't just hurt your feelings, it hurts your body. Without intimacy, your immune system weakens. Why? Because constant loneliness keeps your body bathed in stress hormones. And when your body thinks it's always in danger, it has less energy to fight off sickness. That's why isolated people often get sick more and take longer to recover. And then there's sleep. Have you noticed how much harder it is to rest when you feel disconnected? Your brain stays restless, scanning for safety, replaying worries. Instead of deep sleep, you get shallow, broken rest, the kind that leaves you exhausted no matter how long you're in bed. But the effects don't stop there. Lack of intimacy also messes with your mind. Poor focus, reduced creativity, slower learning. Think about that for a second. Your brain literally doesn't function at full capacity without connection. Why? Because the human brain was designed for relationships. It's wired to thrive in closeness, in trust, in shared experiences. When that's missing, the brain redirects energy into survival mode. Instead of imagining new ideas, solving problems, or creating beauty, your brain is stuck running the same question over and over. Am I safe? Am I alone? That's why prolonged isolation makes you feel dull, foggy, uninspired. It's not laziness, it's biology. Your brain was never meant to bloom in isolation. It was built for connection, and when that connection is missing, both your body and your mind begin to pay the price. But here's the empowering truth. If lack of intimacy can harm the brain, then restoring intimacy can heal it. And in the next section, we'll explore exactly how connection rebuilds your inner strength. We've talked about what intimacy does for the brain and what happens when it's missing. Now, let's zoom out. Why do so many of us feel this emptiness today? It's modern society. We live in a world that looks connected, but often isn't. Think about dating apps. Swiping left, swiping right. Instant connections, instant judgment, instant dopamine hits. Sounds fun, right? But most of these interactions are shallow. Quick messages, surface-level compliments, endless chasing for approval. Not real intimacy, not real closeness. And then there's social media. Thousands of followers, hundreds of likes. But how many of those people truly see you? Really know you? Likes can't hug you. Comments can't calm your anxiety. It's a digital echo chamber giving you the illusion of connection, while your brain quietly screams for the real thing. And let's not forget recent events. The pandemic, remote work, lockdowns. Millions of people suddenly cut off from friends, family, even co-workers. Isolation became the norm, not the exception. Your brain, craving touch, conversation, shared experiences, went hungry. Cortisol rose, sleep suffered, creativity slowed, mental fog deepened. This isn't just sadness or loneliness. It's biology. Your brain evolved for intimacy, real, meaningful, in-person connection. Texting, scrolling, liking. It's not enough. The good news? Awareness is the first step. When you recognize how modern habits feed this void, you can start reclaiming real connection. Small acts of presence, eye contact, deep conversations, touch. Even consistent quality time with one person can begin to heal the brain. In the next section, we'll explore the deep emotional and psychological consequences of ignoring this basic need, because understanding the cost is what motivates change. We've seen how modern life can starve our need for intimacy and what it does to our brains. But let's take a step back. There's wisdom from centuries ago, and insights from modern psychology that can help us make sense of this. The Stoics, philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, reminded us that humans are inherently social beings. We aren't meant to exist in isolation. Our minds, our hearts, they depend on connection. They saw that when we cut ourselves off from others, we aren't just lonely, we're diminishing the very essence of what it means to be human. Modern psychology echoes this. Attachment theory tells us that our early bonds, our relationships, shape the way our brain responds to stress, love, and intimacy. When those bonds are weak or missing, our nervous system remains on high alert. We crave safety. We crave warmth. And when it's absent, the mind starts to signal pain, sadness, even emptiness. Here's the truth. We break when we isolate. Every moment spent in emotional deprivation chips away at focus, resilience, and even self-worth. But the flip side is just as powerful. We thrive when we connect. When we share our thoughts, when we touch, when we are present with another. Oxytocin flows. Stress decreases. The brain literally lights up with reward. Our hearts and minds remember. We are meant for this. We are meant for closeness. So the wisdom is simple, yet profound. Isolation may feel normal in today's world of screens, notifications, and fast interactions. But your brain and your soul was never designed for it. Connection isn't optional, it's essential. It's the foundation of mental, emotional, and even physical health. In the next section, we'll dive into practical ways to rebuild that connection, so your brain gets the intimacy it craves, and your life starts feeling full again. We've explored the cost of lacking intimacy, and why our brains are wired to crave it. Now let's talk about the flip side, how to rebuild it. Because no matter how starved your mind has been, connection isn't lost, it can be restored. First, start small. Journaling is a powerful tool. Writing down your thoughts, your feelings, your desires. It trains your mind to acknowledge and express your emotional world. It's like giving your brain permission to feel safely. Therapy is another game changer. A trained professional can help you unpack old wounds, show you patterns, and guide you toward healthier bonds. It's not a weakness, it's a bridge back to yourself and to others. Next, practice deep conversations. Really listening, really sharing, beyond surface-level small talk. Ask questions that matter. Be present. Vulnerability may feel scary at first, but it's where intimacy truly lives. And don't underestimate physical touch. A hug, a hand on your shoulder, a gentle touch from someone you trust. These aren't just gestures, they're medicine for the brain. Oxytocin floods in, cortisol decreases, and your nervous system starts to relax. Finally, cultivate safe, supportive relationships. Choose people who honor your feelings, who make space for you to be yourself. Let go of those who drain your energy, who diminish your worth. Small, consistent habits, like checking in, sharing moments, being present, they literally rewire your brain for connection. Here's the truth. Rebuilding intimacy is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. A series of small, meaningful actions that tell your brain, you are safe, you are worthy, connection is possible. In the next section, we'll explore how maintaining intimacy impacts your brain long-term, and why these small, consistent habits can transform not just your emotions, but your entire life. Take a deep breath and let everything we've discussed sink in. From the hidden need for intimacy, to how your brain lights up with connection, to the real costs of isolation, and the small, powerful ways you can rebuild intimacy in your life. Here's the truth. Your brain isn't built for isolation. Connection isn't a luxury. It's not a weakness. It's survival. It's how we thrive, emotionally, mentally, even physically. So take a moment today to reflect. Who can you reach out to? Which small act of connection can you start practicing? A conversation, a hug, a heartfelt message, or simply listening. These little steps matter more than you realize. If this video helped you understand your brain, if it reminded you why connection matters. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs this today. Subscribe for more insights about the mind, connection, and human behavior. And most importantly, take the first step toward nurturing your own intimacy, starting now. Because your brain, your heart, your life deserve to feel truly connected.